Okay, we're live. We're a little late, but that's okay because this is going to be recorded and people will watch it a lot later. Ha ha ha. I'm joined by Gordon Curry. Go ahead, man. Do your intro.
Cool. I don't really have much of an intro, but I'm Gordon Curry, aka the Highland Gamer on YouTube. Um, I've got a lot of stuff put up in the last sort of week or so, and there'll be more coming. So yeah, check that out, and let's do this.
All right. In this episode of this isn't a bullshit busters, but we might bust a little bullshit while we're while we're talking, just a little bit, because there's a little bit of a misnomers going around, and it's always useful to destroy people's weird thoughts. But the first thing we'll go over our general thoughts about the Game Awards and a little bit about the PlayStation experience this weekend. I didn't watch all of it. I watched a little bit of it. I read some of the highlights, my own personal thoughts, but I'm not. I'll let our guest go first. What did you think about the Game Awards?
So I mean, across the board, I felt it was a big upgrade from the VGX, which was just an absolute mess. But I feel there was still a lot to sort of improve on. The presentation still felt a little bit slapstick in the sense of it didn't feel like it was coming from a gamer's point of view.
Yeah.
And there were certain elements where they focused on, say, giving a trophy to somebody just, on the slide at the side, and they wasted sort of stage time for maybe a musical thing. So that's my sort of general across the board, but I did feel it was a lot more gaming focused, and it felt more like a show than the previous time around.
I could see it. I could see it. Well, I guess I'll give my impression of it. I have to agree with Gordon. It was better than last year's, but I mean that's not really a benchmark. That's like you took one test in school, you got 50%, and then you took another test and you got 65. You still failed. No, you got a 70. You got a D. That's better than an F. But really, I mean it's really easy to do better than an F. Like it's really easy. I will say this show was better presentation wise because last year's show felt like they were shooting it out of someone's basement.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
like, they felt like they were shooting it out of someone's basement or someone's back room or something. Like someone had like some extra space in their restaurant and they were like, "We'll close this partition off and you can shoot it in here." Like that's what it felt like. I'm
Just
sorry.
wheeling a TV and camera.
Yeah, like someone, I almost felt someone come in with a boom mic and have it in the thing. It just looked very. Last year's looked very. What's the word I'm looking for? Half-assed.
Budget.
This year it wasn't half-assed. It looked a little sloppy, just a little bit, just a little bit, but it wasn't that bad. I'm glad that Jeff Keighley was able to get a little bit, was able to get more support. But I mean, really, if Jeff Keighley wanted this to really be spectacular. It would have been awesome if he had had more big stuff coming from Sony and Microsoft. Because the third parties, I've kind of lost a lot of respect for third parties. But really, if you're going to have a video game awards show, if you have like the big three showing new stuff, like first party new stuff, like at least even a tease. That would be kind of cool because people say, man, these consoles are out. Look at this awesome stuff coming out. Maybe Steam was on there. Maybe a tease for Half-Life 3, Gabe Newell.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it felt a little bit, especially with Sony's tease for Uncharted and things. It felt like they were sort of plugging their own show for the next day rather than putting any real effort into it.
Yeah, the only people who showed anything new to me, okay, Mario Maker, Nintendo showed new stuff, but Mario Maker, I mean, that was kind of like we knew about that from E3, but I mean, we got a little bit of new information. They didn't talk about it; they just showed it.
Hmm.
And then the real thing was when they showed the scope of that Zelda Wii U, which I mean, holy my God, that's going to be a world to get lost in.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, that was the thing for me. I mean, you see all these sort of trailers for things or in-engine sort of graphical things for different games, and even in a best case scenario where it is running in game and it is showing gameplay and whatever, they only ever talk about how it looks a little bit prettier or it's coming soon. I liked that when Nintendo showed this, they talked about the fact that it was the scale of the world, the fact that you could actually look that distance into the world and set sort of checkpoints, which is something that you can't even zoom that far in the likes of Destiny or whatever the case may be. It's out already. Um, and the other thing for me was the little things with the AI that they never forced into the conversation, but they did sort of put out there to do with I don't know if it is Epona or not, but the horse that he was on, they
Yeah,
had
they
this
said
sort
it
of
was Epona.
they had this sort of thing going about where if you were using the analog sticks and controlling it, you would directly control what was going on with the horse.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you let go of the analog stick, it sort of carried on going towards the checkpoint that you were going for, but it wouldn't just go directly. It would actually have AI and avoid the trees and other things that were in its way while you were doing what you were doing. And that adds a whole other level to how things are working. You no longer have to think, oh, I have to stop over here to do this. You can almost have the horse as your second player. It feels like a co-op experience. It's really
Mm-hmm.
strange, but it's adding even more to the depth of the gameplay rather than just focusing on how pretty something looks. Although it did look gorgeous. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would say that was the big thing there. It was really good to see some sort of newer stuff across the board.
Yeah.
It wasn't sort of new in the sense of as we said before. We've seen Mario Maker, we've seen the little bit of Zelda before, so we knew they were coming. Um, the interesting tidbit in the little thing for me that was the only sort of new thing out of the whole presentation was the fact that the terminal went, Star Fox is coming first.
Yeah, and I'm glad they said it. People last year they were like, "We want more information from Nintendo. They need to tell us more." They're giving you more information, so please. I know a lot of people like complaining, um, and whining and crying, but seriously, they're giving you what you want. So, to put it politely, shut up.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, and for me, I think both these games, I've said before, but I'll just reiterate a little bit. When I first got my Wii U, I got it on launch day. I bought it with Zombie U, and I paid out for a lot of these third-party games that everybody claims we don't have.
Hmm.
Um, and they tried. If you're truly honest, they tried. If you look at Deus Ex, if you look at Batman, Arkham City, Armored Edition, if you look at Nintendo's sort of collaboration with T3 for Lego City Undercover,
Yeah.
even FIFA, which was a port of 2012's version,
Well,
they put the gameplay into the gamepad in real time. The first moment I saw that, all I could think of is next year we might have dual gamepad use, and in real time you're going to be strategizing against the person you're playing against. It never happened, but this was what I sort of saw coming out of it. We then obviously hit a bit of a stumbling block with the sales of the console, and the third parties dropped a bit. A lot of the indies came in to cover those gaps, and Nintendo, I feel, had to rush a few production lines. So we got good games as far as the gameplay is concerned on the one screen, but if you look at things like Tropical Freeze, Mario Kart, and a few of these other games that have come out, they're great one-screen game experiences with a few gamepad sort of tidbits there. They're not fleshed to the same extent of Arkham City and the likes of that.
right.
And the first sort of hint towards going back in that area was when we got Wind Waker HD. So
That's true.
seeing this new Zelda, seeing what they were demoing with the sort of Project Robot type thing for Star Fox, um, laying the franchise aside, I'm just hyped to see true Wii U hardware use again. I want to see that gamepad totally fully utilized. Because I loved that first sort of 6 months or so, and for the last year I've been pining for a game that really shows the gamepad again.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I will say that some third parties tried. I'll say that other third parties did. I would say a half-ass effort. And like they couldn't say they didn't try. Like I know some people would say, well, on paper Ubisoft tried. They did. They tried. But then you look further into the details of it, and it's like, this is kind of a half-assed effort.
Which game are we talking about?
Well, okay, they did Zombie U. Zombie U on paper, great game. Played it, it's a great game. But you dig deeper into Zombie U and you realize this game is a great concept, and had it not been rushed for a launch game, had that game had another, I want to say 3 to 6 months to stew, and they could have added a little bit more content to it. It's a good game. It could have been a great game. Like it's not cool that you only have one melee weapon.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I sold Zombie U, right? I'm going to be honest with you there. I bought the console. I loved the hardware and everything that came in the box of the bundle that I got, because I got my Pro controller and all the extra docks and everything with it for my money. But I sold Zombie U. I sold
Zombie U.
Of having it.
But here's the thing. It had really good, like the concept was good. It's not a terrible game, but it's just you could tell that Ubisoft was like, we got to get this on launch day. Look, I'd rather you guys had delayed that game like 3-6 months, added some more content to it, because Zombie U could have been kind of like how we had Red Steel back in the day, except Red Steel 2, because the first Red Steel was terrible.
Yeah, and this is the issue, and this is what I saw going forward. With the Wii, you had, say, The Conduit, and The Conduit, for its first game, had a really sort of good overall story and premise and everything, but the controls weren't very fleshed out. We got the second game. The story wasn't as good, but the gameplay was totally fleshed out and worked really well. The same sort of thing happened with Red Steel and all these sort of things. So when I started seeing these games coming through, all I could think of was their sequels. I was like, when we get the sequel to this, it's going to be awesome. But sadly, because maybe the user base never jumped in high enough, or they saw other prospects for other sort of things, these companies went away a bit. But I still want to sort of reiterate that certain games really did push it. I mean, if you look at all the options in Lego City Undercover, I don't think there's a single game option they didn't use. One of the best games.
Lego City Undercover is one of the best games on the Wii U. And people are like...
Yeah, kind of.
No, I was going to say, people are saying, oh, well, we need Grand Theft Auto on the Wii U. No, we don't. Please, Jesus.
No, we don't.
We have GTA. We have the nicest GTA game. Like, it doesn't have you beating up hookers and robbing and shooting people. Although you can run people down in Lego City, but they're Lego people, so no one can.
And you can shoot them until they fall to bits. But
you can shoot until they fall to bits.
But yeah, I mean, for me, the only thing that I would want out of a Lego City Undercover 2 would be slightly better coded, so the loading times were better.
Right.
And a possible drop-in second player.
That would be cool.
That would
be cool. You know what I want from that? I would like those two things, but I would also like a third thing. I would like to be able to play as other characters. Because in Lego City, like in the free play mode, you could like beat other people, but it would be cool if like
you could completely create your character if you wanted.
Yeah, but I mean, what I mean is play as other characters. I mean, like, let's say you want a mission, right? And like you're in there. Let's say it's Chase McCain. You're undercover, but then you got a dude in the van. He's got to keep some dudes from busting your cover. I mean, like, you can be like other characters doing stuff at the same time.
So that's kind of part and parcel of that second player drop-in. For me, if along with what would come there would be the fact that you would have a team dynamic. So rather than having what you have in most games is you play as the one player and you go along. Most of the Lego games will have, let's take the latest Avengers one that came out, you'll have, each mission will have a two-player, a three-player sort of thing within that mission, and you can switch between which player you want to be at any one time.
Hmm.
They've done that in the latest GTA, and I'm trying to think other games that have done it recently. Not to sort of mention it, but let's go Sonic Boom. A lot of these games, you can jump in and out of the different characters, but the other character's AI still carries on, even if it's not a secondary player. It'll be the AI of the system will do it. That'd be cool. So if you could go into a mission and you could play, I forget what his name is, but Chase's sort of sidekick, young policeman. If you could switch to maybe being him or being one of the other guys in the team at the time, that'd be kind of cool. Or if you could have a friend jump in and be the secondary player playing that other role, would also be kind of cool.
Yep. I mean, but then again, I mean, you had two really good developers working on that game, Nintendo and Traveler's Tales. So
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
but see, there was that one as a sort of flagship for me. That was great. I loved Deus Ex on the system as well. I played the original one on the PC. As I say, with the highest spec graphics you could have in the world. But the thing that annoyed me was whenever I wanted to go to a map or see anything that I was doing or change my upgrade path, I had to pause and go into a menu.
yep,
Um, Doing this on the Wii U was flawless.
yep.
I could
Not to
walk
mention
through.
hacking was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you could hack on the gamepad. You could look at the map, just glance down, set waypoints, so you could see even on the waypoints when you're heading there. Your man had a little bit of an arrow the way that he was pointing, so you could see if you were pointing towards the right way you were going when you're doing sort of stealthy sections. It was great. The same would go for Batman. I mean, it had a couple of sort of frame dips in high sort of fighting scenes, but both those games were flawless for that sort of side of things. Um, and then even if you go for the likes of Rayman Legends, I know it's had its taboo and it was held back and all that kind of stuff. But if you compare New Super Mario Bros. To Rayman Legends uses the gamepad tenfold better. You can do all the little menu things. On it to jump between all the things you want to do. When you get the unlockables, you can treat it like a scratch card. You've got the sort of co-op modes where you can sort of tilt things and slide things and move them about in the gameplay while the other player is moving along, or you can do that while the AI is moving the other player along. And you compare that to, as I say, the new Super Mario Bros. And all you could do is pop in little blocks. Um, I have to fight that corner a little bit that I feel that 50%, not all, but about 50% really did honestly try,
Yeah, they did.
and
I mean,
and
like I
they've
said,
been forgotten about.
some of them really did try. Some of them, though, it was like
Oh, some of it was terrible. I mean, I
on
played.
paper they tried, but once you got deeper into it, it was like, dude, this is what you this is
Yeah,
what you brought to the party.
this is the thing, or it was half-assing it. I mean, I played
Yeah.
what was it? I was going to say Lego for a second there. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, it was a good game, don't get me wrong, as far as I'm concerned. It still had controls and things on the gamepad,
Hmm.
as far as the map was concerned. They really outdone themselves as far as the web slinging was concerned, where the two different shoulder buttons would control your different arms for web slinging.
Hmm.
You couldn't web sling in areas where there was no trees or walls, you would just fall. So you weren't just slinging to air. Those sort of things were thought out, but then when you start looking closer, you had very sort of limitations within the gamepad use. The resolution was about half what it was in Arkham City. Considering the fact that you fight teams that are half the size, I don't
Hmm.
understand where the power was going.
Well, it was a quick and dirty port, so
Yeah,
I mean, you can
a lot of
tell
it
when
was
someone does a
flashing.
quick and dirty port to
So,
the Wii U.
so this was my point: was if you compared those two games, the effort, Arkham City for me was worth its brand new price tag. Spider-Man was, pick it up in a bargain bin. Um,
Exactly.
but I guess because of the 50% that were bad, the 50% that were good got shadowed over. I mean, I don't know anybody that bought Deus Ex for more than maybe $15. Um, and that's a shame because they put a lot of effort in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't try. But speaking of people putting up some of them putting up on face value and effort, but then you look deeper and it's like, what the fudge are you doing, dude? That PlayStation experience.
Yeah.
A lot of people got slapped in the face by Square Enix during that PlayStation experience, and I'm not one of those people that ever really loved Final Fantasy VII. I played it, I've beaten it, I've 100%ed it, found everything, even those dang ruby and emerald weapons. Oh God. But I can tell you right now, I feel your guys' pain. I mean, it stinks that you guys really wanted a total ground-up remake of Final Fantasy VII. It would be awesome if that happened, but what are you going to do? It's Square Enix. They're not going to do something that would make them an insane amount of money. What are you, stupid?
I think Square has gone the same route as Capcom. They've lost their way. They've lost their connection to their fans. I mean, if you look back to the years of when we were getting, Final Fantasy 6, 7, 8, 9, it was year after year, bang, 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 perfect, giving you each upgrade as and when you wanted it. It was great. I'm not the biggest, fan of the franchise. I found it a little bit confusing, to be honest, at times, just the sheer amount of menus and things going on.
Right.
But it was what people wanted, and they gave them what they wanted.
They don't do that anymore.
now they're just trolling you.
Yeah.
Now it's like Capcom. Oh, we're doing this anniversary thing with Nintendo. We're gonna have all these Mega Man standing behind us, and we're gonna release this book about the history of Mega Man.
It's like people want a game, dude.
You don't actually want to play that, do you?
No, people want a Mega Man game, dude.
Oh, we've partnered with Loot Crate. You can have a Mega Man helmet.
Yeah, people want a game, dude.
So the same thing's happening with Final Fantasy. They went up there. They were like, "Oh, you want Final Fantasy 7?" Fans like, "Yeah, here's a port."
Exactly, what? And it's not even like a good. It's not even like a Wind Waker HD port either. I mean, that's the.
Well, I mean, apparently it is the PC port getting brought across.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
But even the PC port apparently has issues. People were saying it isn't the proper sort of high quality MP3s and stuff.
Yeah,
so
but
even though the cutscenes have been a little bit updated and things, it's still botched.
Yeah, but that's the thing about Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII, I know a lot of people, man, it's awesome. It's like the best Final Fantasy ever. It's an ugly game. The FMVs look nice, but the actual gaming, it's very blah, okay? It's just, oh, God.
See, if I was Square Enix, I would do it. I would do the remake, but I wouldn't do it the way everyone's expecting me to do it. Everybody's expecting that they're going to get Final Fantasy VII's story in a completely run-and-round hack-and-slash Final Fantasy 15 sort of look. No, I wouldn't give you that. If I was doing it, I would put it on a system that would give the true RPG experience. So I put it on the Wii U, as controversial as that'll be, so that you can do all your menus and stuff on the gamepad while your game's on the main screen. I would upscale the graphical style rather than completely doing from scratch. So still keep it looking a bit sort of cell shaded and polygony, but by sort of more today's standards. So meet somewhere between your sort of Raymans and Mario 64's type sort of look, but at sort of 1080p sort of style. So don't over texture it, don't over sort of fires and booms and all that kind of things. Keep it feeling like Final Fantasy VII, but bring it up to today's sort of graphical fidelity.
That's a good idea, but that will require effort and like I said, Square Enix. The thing that Capcom, that Mega Man and Final Fantasy have in common is that the people who made those franchises what they are left those companies.
Oh yeah.
Keiji Inafune left Capcom, and Hironobu Sakaguchi left Final Fantasy. So what you have is the Final Fantasy that came after those people left are not really, they don't have the essence of what those games are about. Well, actually, with Mega Man, they just stopped making Mega Man games. I'll give Capcom that much. They didn't actually start making really terrible Mega Man games after Keiji Inafune left. They just stopped making them.
I was going to say, he left Capcom because he wasn't being allowed to make Mega Man. I mean, could you imagine Nintendo turn around and going, "You're not allowed to make any more Zeldas"?
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, I mean, and not only that, it's like none of these companies realize that these people are going to get old. They might retire. They might find another job. So why don't you have someone apprentice under them and learn how to make those types of games? Like Miyamoto trained Eiji Aonuma to make Zelda games.
Yeah. So that's the same sort of thing. So, and I was watching the I forget what it. I think it was a Nintendo Direct or a presentation anyway to do with the whole remakes of the Alpha Sapphire and all that. And apparently, I don't know all the names, so forgive me for that. But the guy who's actually leading the remakes for those games was on the team for the originals.
Yeah.
So he wasn't the lead, but he's been with them.
Exactly. Right. So they're training new people to work on this stuff because people retire, people get old, people, I mean, knock on wood, heaven forbid, people die, people get sick, people have illnesses. Like Super Mario 3D World was not made. Shigeru Miyamoto was nowhere involved with that game. But if no one told you that, you still know it's a Mario game. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's the thing, and he doesn't necessarily have to be the lead. He can just be somebody that checks in every so often and says, oh, that doesn't feel right.
But still, you can tell this is a Mario game. Like if someone didn't tell you Shigeru Miyamoto didn't work on that game, you wouldn't know that he didn't work on. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
You wouldn't know that Shigeru Miyamoto isn't working on Zelda Wii U because I can already tell this game's going to be awesome.
So that's the thing for me, you look at that and that carries on like that. I would say a similar thing for the Rayman games over the years. You can't say that for Sonic.
No. As soon as Yuji Naka left,
Sonic feels like a skin. It doesn't feel like it's a Sonic game.
As soon as Yuji Naka left, you just knew it's like these aren't even Sonic games. Sorry.
I mean, for me, Sonic CD and Sonic and Knuckles were my sort of pinnacles, and after that. Like I've played bits and pieces here and there of Colors and Generations and things like that, and they're okay, but they're not Sonic and Knuckles.
I'll go back further than that. The only Sonic games that I really enjoy were the ones that were on the Genesis.
Wow.
I know that's terrible. Well, no, that's not true. I like the ones on the Genesis, and I liked the ones the ones that were on the Wii. And I guess it's because I like the simplified gameplay. Like Sonic is, in my opinion, Sonic is at his best when he just runs really fast, collects some rings, gets the Chaos Emerald, goes to the next level. Like,
yeah.
Like you don't like people like, whoa, we need to have this game where he does this. No. If you make Sonic complicated, he can't deal with complicated. That's not his thing. Sonic runs fast.
I guess that's the problem is they're tried too hard to give Sonic a personality when he first came out. That now that he's, if you like, typecast within that personality, he's not flexible. No, but if you compared that to Mario, Mario, as much as he has a personality, his personality isn't linked to the game as such. As long as he's a plumber and he headbutts things, he can almost be in any world.
Exactly.
He can race cars. He can, have 3D platformers, 2D platformers, and whatever the hell you want to throw him in. You can make a Mario RPG and get away with it. I played Dream Team just recently on the 3DS, and had great fun with that. With
awesome, isn't it?
Doing that. And the cheesy, almost racist sort of French humor is brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they were great, and I thought all these things sort of go across. But Sonic doesn't work in that mentality. You can't put Sonic into a sort of Mario 64 type world in the same.
There is a Sonic RPG, and it's actually really good, but They'll never
See,
make a sequel.
for me, the only way you can really pull Sonic into other games well is if you pull other team members in that set the context, which is why I was sort of hyped for Sonic Boom, because I've played Sonic and Knuckles, and for me, I spent more time in that game playing as Knuckles than I did as Sonic,
Yeah.
because Knuckles fitted that game. There was parts
Yep.
of the game where you couldn't sort of jump high enough, and Knuckles had to clamber to the walls and then climb up, or sort of almost do a sort of dive swoop thing to a wall and then sort of grab onto the next ledge. It was his mechanic that allowed that game to play as well as it did,
Yep.
and I was just waiting for Amy and Tails to do that same thing for Sonic Boom, um, and they didn't.
I know. You know what? I'm just gonna let you on a little secret. When I played Sonic 2, I always preferred to enter in the code and play as Tails because he could fly. It's like, why do I want to play as a dude who has to run everywhere when I can just fly up there and get whatever that is up there, rather than have to go through all these dang loop-de-loops and pray that I don't run into a dude that steals half my rings. I just
Or if you ever run at a speed, you got to stop and go before
yeah.
you go
Oh
up again.
Lord, I went down the wrong place. Better watch out for those spikes. Why would I want to do that when I can just fly up there and get it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that for some people, the good thing with that kind of two mechanics is that you could go through the game, say as Knuckles, learn how the game looks and is, and then once you sort of, want to go that extra level, you can go back and play as the character who it's harder to play as, and it just adds extra gameplay into that game. It's what I loved about, completely different game style would have been the Command and Conquer games back in the day on the PC.
Oh God, don't
You
get me
you could
started.
you could always play as the two factions. You could play as the, if you like, the easy faction, which were always, kind of deemed as the good guys. And then once you played through the game and sort of got warmed up and things, you could go through as the hard faction. Now, me
Yep.
personally, I found it easy, too easy, and after like the second game, I only ever played the hard factions. So I went straight in
Oh,
as Nod, straight off
you're
the
a
bat.
follower of Kane, huh?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but
I love the bad acting in that series. It was so awesome.
oh, it's brilliant. Until EA got their hands on it. But anyway,
Yeah, just EA. That's EA
Westwood,
though.
Westwood, Westwood along with Stainless, who made Carmageddon, were like my heroes back in the day. But sadly, they got locked up and kicked out. Stainless have their rights back though, so Carmageddon's coming. But yeah, those sort of mechanics, has been able to play alternate sort of players or alternate modes at different difficulties, made things sort of more interesting. So rather than say going into Bayonetta and being like, I want to play on medium, easy, or hard, as the case may be, how cool would it be if you could play as Bayonetta through on, say, medium mode, and then I don't know, you could play on an easy mode where there's a stronger witch that you can play, or you can play on a hard mode where you have to play that guy that's always getting beaten up, and it would add a whole other dynamic to how things go and give people options. I'm all for options.
Exactly. I mean, people want that. People want options. But speaking of options, uh, I guess it's time to move on to the next section, talking about options. Uh, did anyone see the recent news about who they're casting for the new DC film, Suicide Squad?
The whole crew, or just yeah.
Just some of the people that they have. It literally it's some of the. Let me just pull this up quickly and just
It feels like they're
um
name dropping Friends to me, but anyway.
because I got to do this. It's gonna start. Suicide Squad is gonna star. Okay, it's gonna star Will Smith, Tom Hardy, Margot Robbie, and Jared Leto. Will Smith is gonna play Deadshot. Hardy's gonna play the leader, Rick Flag. Leto is gonna play the Joker, cause yeah, he's totally looking like he's gonna be the Joker. And
you
Robbie's
never know.
gonna.
You never know with Joker. We've been caught out before with Joker.
I don't like. Here's the thing, Jared Leto, like literally, Jared Leto looks so freaky that like if I found out he kept corpses in his basement, I wouldn't be surprised. If someone's like, we raided Jared Leto's house and we found corpses in the basement, yeah,
So that
he
kind of
looks
works
like
for
it.
him, right?
What?
That kind of works for him.
Yeah, it works for him, but the thing is like I'm one of those people. I like the more whimsical Joker.
Sure, sure. The
I like
Joker's
the
the Joker's went pretty dark recently, though, as far as the comics are concerned.
Yeah, I like the whimsical Joker. I don't like the I like the joy buzzer Joker. I like the like laughing gas till you die Joker. I like the acid flower Joker. I'm not a big fan of the Joker that like the darkest I can go with my Joker is the Joker that like tortured Robin with a gun and it turned out the gun was fake. Like the little flag came out and went bang, but Robin thought he actually killed somebody. Like that's about
Yeah.
as dark as I can go with my Joker. Like the Joker now is just a little too dark for me. You know,
See, the irony is the Joker is serious, right? Um, um, I mean, coming out of the whole why you so serious? Um, that's what happened with the Joker, and that's what's happened with DC, and I guess that's the biggest thing that bugs me with DC is on the big screen anyway. They just don't seem to be able to get anything right.
they're going
And
too
you,
dark. That's the thing. That's just
but I mean,
not
even
everything has to be not everything has to be like
it's
someone killed your dog. Like
yeah,
every
but
movie they make is someone killed their dog.
it's dark, but it's dark in every single context. All the
Exactly.
costumes are dark. The scenes are dark. The theme is dark. Everyone's brooding.
I mean,
Like
their TV shows are
that's
dark.
not how. Yeah, the TV shows have dark elements, but
Like Arrow is dark. I
but
mean,
even Arrow has some pretty hilarious moments compared to the Batman
yeah,
films.
but for the first two seasons, it was just Arrow felt like Batman the TV series, except they swapped out Batman for Arthur Queen or not Arthur Queen,
Oliver Queen.
Oliver Queen, Oliver Queen. It was like he's got a utility belt. He's always brooding. He's got all these scars from intense training. I mean, like, dude, come on, man. Dude, we always have to have things be dark and gritty and
I
people
guess
getting.
I guess it was an origin story though, because a lot of people don't know the background of Green Arrow, and had they just thrown him straight on stage and allowed him to kind of do his thing, I guess,
That would have been too far.
it would have been too much straight away for people, and other people would have looked at it and went, "Who's this weird
This
Robin
guy,
Hood?"
he's the Green Arrow. That's all you need to know.
Yeah,
He's the Arrow guy. Look, Marvel has their Arrow guy. He's Hawkeye. And DC has their Arrow guy, Green Arrow. Look,
yeah.
everybody needs an Arrow guy. Okay,
I mean,
that's
I,
just the.
I mean, Green Arrow was I forget what the original publisher was, but Green Arrow was a different company. So you had Iron Man on Marvel, which was your tech rich man, and then you had Batman with DC, and you had, I forget what the company was, but you had Arrow with them, and Arrow was a rip-off of Batman with the
Yeah.
looks of Robin Hood. DC are what gave Arrow its own personality, um, but the issue for me is that within Arrow, although it's dark, they've tried to lighten things up. They threw Diggle in there. Felicity was never supposed to be a long-standing character, and she's kind of carried on. There's dark moments, but I kind of still find them funny. I mean, if you look at the Dark Archer bits, like they're hilarious sometimes. If you know any of the backstory to some of the other characters, which are sort of even lesser known, like the Red Arrow or Arsenal, as he's now known, um, he's been through torture himself, like tenfold more than Arrow was. And even when he was Arrow's sidekick, he was basically treated as Arrow's tool to be used, which is why they kind of hinted at that in Arrow as well. And it's only when he actually teams up with Red Hood down the line that he kind of gets to be this fun, quirky, um, sort of almost Spider-Man type character where he's just sort of quick-witted. Um, so I'm hoping that comes down the line sooner rather than later, and they get into that sort of back and forth between Arrow and Arsenal as the characters. Um, But yeah, I mean the big screen characters, I just find it kind of really depressing with a lot of the things. I mean, DC aren't the only ones. I mean, if you look at the X-Men, as much as they try and make it lighthearted, again though they've went dark costumes and dark sort
Yeah,
of
but
overall looks.
X-Men has always been kind of um dark.
I mean, I could live with X-Men being what they look like now if they were doing X-Force.
Yeah, yeah,
But being X-Men,
yeah.
X-Men should be fun.
I'm just pissed off that they killed
And
off
Wolverine should be wearing
Professor
yellow.
Xavier
I don't care what you say.
again. They killed off Professor Xavier again. I mean, how many times? Look, they have killed off Professor Xavier has quote unquote died so many times. I can't take his death seriously anymore. It's like he died. He could not be dead. You never know.
Well, it's like the amount of Robins they've killed off, right? Um,
Charles Xavier will pop up. Oh, I only faked my death for the 66th time.
I honestly, I am done with X-Men films. Days of Future Past can stuff it.
Yeah.
Uh, honestly, after the Wolverine, that's it. My hands are washed.
To tell you the
Um,
truth, the only people I trust with Marvel IPs right now is Marvel. Like, if you're Fox or Sony, I don't trust your movies. Like Spider-Man, like okay, we had a pretty good run on Spider-Man with Sam Raimi. The first movie was okay. The second movie
mhm,
was awesome. The third movie
mhm.
sucked. Well, no, some of the action pieces were really good, but the plot sucked. Like,
They had the opposite issue with that third movie that the DC movies have. They were
yeah,
scared to go dark. So where they could have really sort of, used it as a platform to jump into the Spider-Verse and have,
right.
Venom and Anti-Venom and Spider-Woman and anybody they wanted to pull
Well,
in,
I don't think they
they,
should have went anti-venom. No, no, anti-venom too far.
yeah, but good or bad,
Yeah,
they had that platform to jump off of.
yeah,
They could have very quickly had him have the sort of, brooding moment, um, in a short sort of sequence, like they've just recently done, spoiler alert, with the Flash in the sort of crossover, and move on, and then have the Venom that we know today as the I forget what his name is now, I've totally blanked, but the sort of crippled ex-marine using the suit and become sort of a sort of partner to Spider-Man in things, and then you could have
right.
your Ben Rileys, your Scarlet Spider, and your Kane, and you could build this whole universe up. But they were scared to go that way. Instead, they just spent a whole movie making him this emo kid.
Well, I think that would have taken it too far. I think the third Spider-Man movie under Raimi suffered under the same thing that Amazing Spider-Man 2 under Mark Webb. They tried to put way too much stuff in that movie because they
Oh
were
yeah, but
like, "Oh crap, I don't think we're going to get to a third one." I mean, that's what I think what happened to Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think with 3 they were afraid to go too dark, and I think that they tried to cram way too many, like they had too many loose ends, and they tried to tie them all up in that third movie because they were like, "This is the end of this trilogy. I'm done. We need
I
to.
guess
We need
I
to."
guess that's I guess that's the issue though, is that they need to stop thinking about it as a trilogy or as a quadrilogy or whatever the hell you want to call it. It needs to be about that movie and just moving along the storyline. And I feel the same way about this whole Batman versus Superman with a million frigging characters getting thrown in there, and I feel a very
What, you
similar
don't like
way.
Plastic Man rolling out because they're just throwing everybody on the wall now?
Yeah,
Plastic Man, Pixel
whatever,
Click,
you know.
the boy from the future, every damn body.
Oh man, but yet they're still not gonna have Nightwing in the big screen. But that's that bugs me in itself. But yeah, they're throwing everything at that movie, and they're still trying to sell it under the Batman banner. Whereas for me, if they were gonna expand the Batman universe in that way, let's have Nightwing, let's have Red Hood, let's have Red Robin, let's have Batwoman, let's have Oracle. You know, let's do that, and then on the side have a separate, Wonder Woman movie, have a separate um, Batman movie, or whatever Superman movie. And if you want to have crossovers like the Avenger movies, do so. But don't force them all into one origin story for the Justice League. That is going to be such a mess.
Look, dude, I agree with you, but the thing is this: Marvel, the people who run the difference between Marvel's movies right now and DC's movies is this: the people in charge of Marvel's movies, the ones that people are like, "Wow, that movie was great," are the comic book people. If anyone knows how to build a universe for something bigger going down the line, it's the comic book people, because that's all comic books are. You get little tidbits here, there, that leads you to something big 12, 13, 14, 15, in some cases 52 issues in.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
It's a
don't
similar thing
get
with
that.
Arrow now. Arrow's getting written by the guys that write the Arrow comic.
Yeah, Warner Brothers in general, their movies are done by DC's movies are done by Warner Brother execs and people like focus groups and media consultants. Like, this demographic likes this, so we need to go with this.
But you have to watch with Disney though. Disney only go so far before they cash cow it. I mean,
Yeah,
if you look at the current Iron Man, the latest Iron Man that's come out, it's a buddy cop movie.
yeah.
They took the piss out of oh, I've totally blanked his name now.
Tony Stark.
No, the bad guy.
There's
Um,
so many bad guys in
the
Marvel
bad guy that's the
movies.
joke actor bad guy in the green and everything. I forget what his name is off the top of my
Oh,
head.
you mean what's his
Um,
name? The Mandarin.
the Mandarin, that's the one. Yes, the Mandarin um, is this big character. In the universe, he's as important as like Doctor Doom. And they
Well,
turn
he's
him in.
Iron Man's arch enemy. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
yeah, that's who he is. He's like the Mandarin is Iron Man's. Like he, I mean, that's the thing that kind of pissed me off with that
and they turn him
third
into a
Iron Man
joke.
movie.
So
They turned him from being Iron Man's arch enemy, the dude who is the source of all of his problems, that got like messed him up so that he had the heart problem, forced him to make the Iron Man suit, then killed the dude who was helping him. Like he's the source. They're polar opposites. Iron Man's this dude of technology, has this suit of armor that's all techno. The Mandarin's got essentially magic. They just destroyed that.
right, so that for me felt like they pushed that far too far into the comedic element rather than truly carrying on with the story, and I guess that's a little bit of my fear with this new Avengers arc of Age of Ultron going on into Civil War, partly because they only have half the cast, because half of their cast is owned by Sony or Fox. And the other side of things is it seems like they're rushing ahead of themselves. For me, the original Avengers movie, was really good action-wise, and it was really good to have those characters set a foundation of how they all work within Shield and can get called upon. But as a movie in itself, it wasn't that important. But if you compare the likes of the second Captain America movie with the whole Winter Soldier arc and the back and forth between those two, maybe three characters, as a story, as a piece to watch, for me, I'd rather watch that like 5 times in a row than the Avengers movie because it just has
Well,
so much more continuity and depth going on
you want to know what was cool
for
about
me.
those films was that they were like Winter Soldier was a spy espionage story with Captain America in it. You know what I mean?
I just wish Winter Soldier was in it more because I love that character.
Well, I mean, like
I mean,
it was
Ed
a it was a
Brubaker is like my favorite comic writer.
yeah, it was a James Bond. It was basically an espionage. The movie was an espionage story, but you know, with Captain America in it. Like, you could have taken Captain America out of that. That still would have been a really good film because it's like you want to see what's going on. Where's the connection? Who's in on this conspiracy? What's going on? Did they
You
kill
still,
Nick Fury? No, they didn't kill Nick
you
Fury.
still would have had. I mean, it's a very similar story to the Red Hood, of how the Red Hood comes back and then Batman figures out who he is. It's a very similar story to Winter Soldier coming back and Captain America figuring out. You could almost flip the characters into the opposite stories and get away with it. Um, but I'd say for me, it was a great story. I can pick at little things because I've read the comic books to death. For instance, the whole thing that the Winter Soldier is named as he is because he is this invisible person that takes you out without being seen. Bucky's this guy who will sneak into things and do things that nobody else will, and he doesn't have that conscience. So, there should have been a lot more of him in the background, in the shadows, for me personally. And it really bugged me, that open scene with him, Captain America, and Black Widow out on the street shooting each other, because Winter Soldier as a character would never have walked into an open street, ever. But other than that, the actual story of how it all plays out and everything, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. It's probably it's quite hard. Maybe one of the Iron Mans might top it, but it's up there in my top sort of two superhero movies.
I don't know. I enjoyed it very much. I thought that because I too did read the comics, but the thing is like, I mean, the whole idea of that, Bucky being alive and being this brainwashed, insane dude, and you read more of the comics. I'm not going to spoil it for people, but read the Captain America comics. Read them.
Oh, yeah.
Read them.
Do it. It's awesome.
Read them, or else we'll send the Winter Soldier to your house and he'll have a talk with you. But
yeah, read them, and if you do enjoy them, check out Brubaker's latest book, the Velvet. That's really good too. It's another sort of spy type thing.
I'm not going to get into comics because the thing is, I have not bought a new comic in almost 5 or 6 years.
Dude, buy the Velvet. It's good.
No, the only reason I haven't is because I'm still in the process of getting some of my older stuff that my dad had restored. Because for the longest time, my dad had a huge comic collection, which I got.
Oh, like individual comics, yeah.
Individual comics, and like he had the old Iron Man comics where he had like the golden suit, like before he got like the modern Iron Man suit,
like the original Mark 1, yeah.
Yeah, that was the only Iron Man I knew. So when I saw his modern suit, I was like, "What the hell is that?" Like that's that's how old those comics are. But my point is this. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm hoping, like, at this point, we can hope.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say at this point we can hope that, like, as comic book nerds and comic book movie nerds, I can only hope that Fox either straightens up and flies right, because Fantastic Four is not looking too good right now. And
oh God.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna get started on that. It's not looking good. I don't really like. I know I talk a lot of shit on my podcast. I talk about how I want to kick people in the stomach, throw them down a flight of stairs. But really, if you make a movie with Doctor Doom as a hacker named Victor Domashev, I'm sorry, you need to be slapped in the face with a backhand, just right across the face. Secondly.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm sorry. I was going to add something slightly, but Kyle.
No, go ahead, add it.
Yeah, I was going to say, just on that whole sort of, the arch enemy's being treated like crap. I watched an interview recently with Stephen Amell, who plays Arrow, and he was asked, if you could play any other sort of comic book hero, who would it be? And he turned around and said, I wouldn't play a hero, I would play Deathstroke. And I went, why would you play Deathstroke? And he turned around and said, the only way that you can have a good story and an actor play a good hero is if their villain is played even better. You can only have the best film if you have the best villain, the best challenge to go up against.
That's true.
So, he straight put out there that he only thinks Arrow worked because of how Deathstroke and the whole thing played against him, and that he had to overcome those things. And if we're taking Doctor Doom and trivializing him to a child, and we're taking the Mandarin and trivializing him to a paid-off actor, well, those films are gonna be rubbish because you've got no real challenge.
Well, the thing is okay, they basically they did a bait and switch with the Mandarin, which is just terrible because for anyone who read the comics, like who's an old school Iron Man fan, that was a slap in the face. Okay, like it's making Doctor Doom okay, let me put it this way: Doctor Doom is one of the most iconic villains in the Marvel universe. He is like this dude. Like, let me tell you how badass Doctor Doom is. Okay, he captured the Silver Surfer and stole some of his powers. He's captured Galactus and tried to steal his powers. Like, I mean, this dude has gone total. This dude tried to steal the powers of Odin Allfather. The Allfather is. I mean, Doctor
He
Doom.
screws over like the most powerful witch in the world. He jumps between universes to get Captain America back.
Yeah,
Like,
and here's the thing: Doctor Doom. He doesn't have any powers. He's just a really evil SOB with lots and lots of gadgets. Who's rich.
well,
And a super genius.
Yeah, I mean, he's a super genius. I wouldn't necessarily 100% put him evil. I would put him in the same sort of boat as Magneto. He's got his own perspective. He's not. I don't know. I don't feel that he has things that he wants to force. He's very Hitler-like in the sense of he wants to, force his agenda.
Well, that's very evil.
But
I take that
he's doing
back.
it not for greed necessarily, but to better things to how he sees they should be.
For Doctor Doom's point of view, he's not evil, but I would call a being who a person who crosses lines that ought not be crossed. Like,
he's conscienceless.
He tried to steal the powers of Galactus. Now, you're going to learn a little bit of nerdy knowledge here. Galactus is basically the embodiment of entropy in the Marvel Universe. He eats friggin' planets, okay? He eats friggin' planets. He's basically the god of entropy of the Marvel Universe. Let me put it this way. Everyone's talking about how badass Thanos is in the Marvel Universe. Galactus would destroy Thanos and not even think about it, okay? That's how badass Galactus is, okay? He creates, demigods.
Oh, he could send the Silver Surfer to take out Thanos.
To find planets so that he can eat them, okay? Doctor Doom decides, oh, I want to have godlike powers too. I'm going to kidnap Galactus and steal his powers. and then act surprised when Galactus breaks free and messes him up. I can't believe he messed me up like that. I mean, like, Doctor Doom's one of those villains that you like to see get beat up. Like, he's not like the Joker. Like, sometimes I like to see the Joker just mess up people, and sometimes, but like, Doctor Doom's one of those dudes. You just like, man, that dude is just totally, he messed up. Although I will say this much, Netflix is doing a series about set in Hell's Kitchen, starring Luke Cage. And,
I heard about that, yeah.
And I think Iron Fist is going to be in it. And I think they might have a Daredevil show up because it's Hell's Kitchen. That's Daredevil's turf, kind of. And
they could even pull in Deadpool if they wanted, but that one.
Yeah, I think they're going to do a Deadpool movie, but Deadpool's a little too off the chain, even for.
Oh, I don't mean he has to be like.
Pop up like
he could just cameo, like that 1-2 second thing of Harley Quinn in Arrow.
Yeah, but
just a hint.
But Luke Cage is so badass. He broke into Latveria because Doctor Doom didn't pay him his money because Luke Cage is Power Man. He's the hero for hire. He broke in and beat the shit out of beat the shit out of Doctor Doom for his money. Which ought to let you know.
Yeah, so many people have done it in Doctor Doom's place. They're just like, oh well, let's go over here and blow up some of his stuff.
Well, Doctor Doom, he's like the stand-in villain. It's like, well, we need a villain who needs to be bothering people. Doctor Doom, yeah, he's always,
And he's always got a gadget lying around that you need, and you just happen to be able to take. And if Reed Richards doesn't have it, Doctor Doom does.
Doctor Doom, like I said, he does all of this. He's like one of the most, he's always in some shit, but he has no powers. Think about that. Like, that's the thing. I mean, that is truly the frightening thing about Doctor Doom, because if he had superpowers, he does channel
the mystics at times.
Yeah, but that's like stuff that he stole or he tried to do. Like half of the things that cause him trouble is that he's trying to steal someone's powers or do
Oh yeah,
something.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I found this infinity gem. I'm going to do something with it. No, you're not, because if you do something with it, you're going to do something. Like I remember this one where Doctor Doom opened a gate into the unspoken one's realm. It's
Hmm.
basically Cthulhu. It's Cthulhu's realm. He opened a gate into a Cthulhu's realm trying to get more power. Then he
Hmm.
realized, wait, this wasn't a smart idea. I might need to trick those heroes to come and save my ass. This was not a good idea. It's like, dude, like if Doctor Doom wasn't so arrogant, he would not be who he is. His arrogance is what makes him such a great villain, because he's like, I'm a super genius. It didn't occur to you not to open a gate to an unknown realm filled with unspeakable
Yeah.
horror? That
I
didn't.
mean, just sort of rooting that a little bit back to their hacker kid,
Yeah.
if they were to have that as an absolute starting point, so let's just say they're rebooting you know, the idea, and they're starting him off in today's society as being a kid who starts out as a hacker and steals people's, you know, bank accounts or whatever in order to then fund his, evil empire. Um, as long as they ramp it up quickly enough, they may just about be able to get his credibility back. But if they stick this whole film out with him as a hacker, I just don't see it.
You know, I would. You see, you're giving him the benefit of the doubt. I can't do that
Gotta play
because
devil's advocate. There's only two of us here.
I'm one of those people that like I grew up. I grew up reading like original Fantastic Four, because Fantastic Four. I mean, the Fantastic Four are one of like the first families of like I want to say the silver age of Marvel Comics. Like
Mhm.
Marvel really took off when they introduced the Fantastic Four. Like Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the Hulk, X-Men. You know, those Jack Kirby. When Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were together, magic happened. But the thing is like Doctor Doom is like I mean, he's this arrogant asshole who has like multiple degrees. He really is a doctor. And his name should let you know he's evil. His name is Dr. Victor Von Doom, and
Yep,
he's the
all
king
bad
of
guys are
Latveria.
doctors. Apart from
He
Doctor
really is a
Strange.
doctor.
Apart from Doctor Strange. Every other doctor's bad. Um,
He really is a doctor. So is Reed Richards, except he like no one ever calls him Dr. Reed Richards.
yeah,
Someone
he just gets
occasionally they'll
enthusiastic.
occasionally they'll call Bruce Banner Doctor Bruce Banner, but you know,
Not so much, but yeah.
not so much. I mean, you know, it's like, well,
I
how's it
think
going, Doc?
I
Don't
think the
call me.
issue is when a lot of these people go back to their, if you like, human aliases rather than their sort of superhero aliases. They try and humanize them as much as possible, so they don't want to give them a big title. They don't want to call you. It's like you've got Oliver Queen. They don't call him, CEO Oliver Queen or whatever the case may be. They just call him Oliver. Because the whole idea is
Yeah,
to be like, this is their human family sort of happy name.
yeah,
And when
I
they're in
understand where you're
action, they
coming
get the
from
big
there.
name.
But I
Whereas,
tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Doctor Doom lose his shit because someone doesn't call him Doctor. He's like, I did not spend 12 years going to multiple schools just to be called Mr. Doom. Thank you very much. I am Doctor Doom, and for that I will have you killed.
yeah, true. And then you can have somebody quick quirp in somewhere that actually, if you grade above Doctor, you get back to Mister.
Yeah, it
Um,
could be. Yes, I mean, because
um,
I know that if you read the origins of Doctor Doom, it's like he and Reed Richards were in the same school, and he tried to steal one of Reed Richards' experiments, and it didn't work on him, and he got scarred in the face, and that's why he hates Reed Richards. It's like, really? Well, maybe if you hadn't tried to steal his experiment, maybe you wouldn't have been scarred in the face, dude. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's your fault.
yeah, I guess that's his biggest problem, though, is that as much as he's intelligent enough to use a lot of things, he's not intelligent enough to come up with a lot of them himself. But that's the interesting thing about him, is that he is this guy who throws himself into so many situations by just happening across something and going for it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I just figured out a good analogy. The difference between Reed Richards and Doctor Doom is this. And Reed Richards doesn't have a lot of this either, but Reed Richards is intelligent, but he also has wisdom. Whereas Doctor Doom is just really, really, really intelligent, but when it comes to wisdom, i.e., having that moral compass of just there's certain things you ought not to do, just it would be wisest just leave certain stuff alone. Like he doesn't do
Yeah.
that. Now Reed Richards doesn't do that either because he's like, hey guys, there's this strange, mysterious cosmic band around the Earth. I think we should fly into it. That's a good idea, guy.
I guess I guess the thing with Reed Richards is he's got that kind of moral compass in The Invisible Woman, where she kind of and the rest of the family kind of he has something to keep him grounded at times. If he's off by himself, he makes some silly decisions, but um, yeah, he has that kind of pullback. Whereas Doctor Doom's mentality is I am the king of Latveria and I can do what the hell I want. Um, so yeah, he doesn't have people answer to him. He doesn't answer to people.
Yeah, like I said, it's like he has a lot of intelligence. I can figure out a way to do this, but he doesn't have the wisdom to say, should I really do this? I mean, does this really in any way, shape, or form do anything for the world or myself? You know. But
Yeah,
enough
well,
about Doctor Doom. Any other topics we should bring up before we finish this? Anything you would like to bring up? Anything you'd like to rant on? Mention?
and
Plug?
well, I mean, I was having a discussion recently, just to sort of root things a little bit back to gaming. I was having a discussion recently that DC sort of in general focus all their things around Batman. You've got, all these Batman films. You've got the Batman versus Superman that's becoming the Justice League, but they're still going to call it Batman. You've got the new Batman 3 Lego game that's just come out, which is basically the Justice League, again, just named Batman. Um, I would love Warner Brothers to give the same treatment that they've given Batman in this, not including the last Batman game, but the first two Arkham games and the one coming, give the same sort of treatment to one or two of the other heroes that are a bit different than Batman. So I mean, I would love to see somebody like Green Arrow, who's huge right now, have a game that has the same sort of fleshed out sides. Maybe he can shoot arrows from distances and use the bow as a knuckle duster or something. Um, just move away from Batman. I don't know what your thoughts of that are with DC, but I just feel that their entire focus right now is we're not DC, we're Batman and friends. And I would like to see that move away a bit and expand more. And having seen Arrow and The Flash on TV, I would love that to expand into games and movies as well.
I agree with you. I agree 100%. But like I said earlier, the people in charge of people in charge of DC are Warner Brothers because they bought DC like I don't know how many years
So
ago.
cash in on Arrow.
So yeah, but the thing is that their most literally their most bankable character right now is Batman.
Of course, of course.
Like,
But he's
I
becoming a
mean,
one-trick pony.
it would have been Superman, but they botched that Man of Steel movie. So
Oh, jeez. Okay. Yes.
yeah, I mean, I know some look. I did a review of that film, and people hated me because of it because I was like, this movie was terrible. But look, numbers don't lie. That movie was divisive. Some people love it. A lot of people hate it.
And I guess that's the thing for a lot of these things that we can sort of root back to with all of this is like everything, it comes down to mass consumption.
Yeah, yeah,
So if the movie is going out to the entire world, and in the entire world, you know, maybe 50% of people are likely to give your movie a chance,
yeah.
but only 5% of the world actually read the comic books,
Hmm.
then they're gonna focus on what is going to be most entertaining, most funny, most drawing into the cash,
Right.
for that 45%.
Well,
And
yeah.
and I guess that is what I see as the issue here is, people will go and see a Batman movie just because it says Batman on it. People
Right.
will, go and see a Lego movie just because it says Lego on it. And if they get a one-liner here and there, in a Lego movie about Batman or something, going, "Oh, my suit is grey," then they find these things funny. And that's great, and I'd say that for the Iron Man movie. I know a lot of people that loved Iron Man 3 that are not comic book fans, that just thought it was a great buddy cop movie, and it was funny, and they have no origin to come through, they have no backstory, so to them, it's a standalone thing.
Right.
But when you have that kind of fan base, when you have that kind of underpinning, you have to be wary about this, because, we've seen the backlash with Star Wars.
Well, I mean, let's see. I'll probably do a podcast next week about Star Wars. Yeah, definitely.
I'm not talking about that Star Wars as yet, but just the current sort of second trilogy.
The terrible prequels. But I mean, here's the thing, and actually this ties into what I was about to say. The problem with Man of Steel was this, and I agree with you. People are like, well, people don't know, but here's the thing. Even people who weren't alive during 1979, 1980 have seen Superman and Superman 2.
Oh, yeah.
And those films...
And the whole Clark Lois TV show.
Yeah. And those films, with the John Williams score, Richard Donner, and all that stuff, like, that is the standard. When people think Superman, that's the standard. What we got with Man of Steel was people trying to be like, oh, well, we don't want to go down that route. It's like, and I understand you don't want to make those films over again, because first of all, let's be frank, whoever directed Man of Steel, no, it was Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder is no Richard Donner. Okay, let's just. Mm-hmm. He ain't Richard Donner, and Hans Zimmer is not John Williams.
But they shouldn't be scared to do that, because that then limits in themselves. Like,
that's the thing. People would say it would be limiting, but the thing is people okay, Batman. When Warner Brothers released those Nolan Batman films, they were dark and gritty, and he had Hans Zimmer as his orchestra dude. But if you played any of that music for me right now, I might be able to tell you it's Batman, probably not. But I guarantee if I put on the Danny Elfman score for Batman from 1980-something, you'd know exactly what movie I was playing.
Yeah, but as I say, this is the thing. Like, for me, as much as I don't want to see the same thing a million times in a row, I do feel that a lot of the time when they do these sort of reboots or whatever the case may be, having that fear of copying anything or having any kind of throwback can self-hold things off. I mean, if we sort of do the two comparison here of, like, lately we've had I've totally blanked his name now. Quicksilver in the X-Men series and in the Avengers series, or he's going to be anyway. I like the idea that they're going to have their own spins on it, and I'm not afraid to use that character. Yeah. Whereas when you look at the Spider-Man universe, when they rebooted it, it wasn't, oh, we're going to reboot it, and just give it to this director and let him do whatever his vision is. If he wants to keep Mary Jane, he can do so. If he wants to scrap something else, he can. It wasn't that. It was, we're going to get as far away from that as possible.
Yep.
We're gonna go into we have to make his web slinging a separate mechanic made thing. We can't have Mary Jane, so he has to be with the other girlfriend. Oh, we can't have this bad guy, so we're gonna have this bad guy. It's like, well, why? Why can't we have throwbacks to things? I mean, the only thing I think that crossed over was like the Green Goblin. Everything else was thrown in the bin and said, well, basically that's not canon anymore. We can't carry that.
Well, to tell you the truth,
bad. Okay.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, to tell you the truth, but you go ahead and then I'll interject.
Yeah, so I mean, I just felt that it was a bit restricted. It was like throwing away half your palette because someone else has used it. If I make a game, and this person's overused blue in their game,
I'm not using blue.
Will I not use blue at all?
Yeah, I'm not using blue.
It seemed crazy.
To tell you the truth, I think Mark Webb actually went deeper into the source material. I'm
not saying he didn't pull things in as well.
No, he did. He went deeper into the source material. Like, Gwen Stacy was Spider-Man's first girlfriend.
Sure.
like that's who he first loved, and when she died, like he was hurt for a long time. So I mean, but here's the thing: if you know anything about the comics about Spider-Man, when they introduced Gwen Stacy as his love interest, I was like, this is not going to end well. You know, Spider-Man doesn't have well, eventually they gave him organic webbing when they like he did something happened and he gained organic webbing, but initially he made web shooters. So in that regard, Mark Webb, like I like that he was kind of staying true to the source material. But then it's like then in the second movie, it's like all of this. I mean, they crammed like 4 or 5 villains into that film. No, 4. It was the Rhino, but not really the Rhino. The Shocker,
the
Harry Osborn, and then the not the Green Goblin, the Hobgoblin. We never even got the Green Goblin in the second film. We got the Hobgoblin, which I'm like, and they're teasing.
And even that was half-assed. I'd have loved a proper Hobgoblin.
Well, I mean, really, if they could have saved that movie if the first movie had just focused on what's her name, on maybe Electro and Rhino. If they had just focused on those 2 villains in the second movie, the third movie could have had Gwen Stacy die in the middle of it, like the Hobgoblin, Gwen Stacy dies in the middle. Although, I mean, really, they messed up with a little bit of the continuity, but we'd seen this before, so it was kind of like.
Yeah, but I mean, so they do it with everything. They always twist things slightly. I mean, you look at the Winter Soldier. They changed it to a train from an airplane. You know, these things happen.
I mean, they had to change a lot of stuff for that. I think what hurt Mark Webb was that like literally they kept on like they like what he wanted to do was probably keep it much more low key. Have 2 villains, maybe 1 or 2 villains, stretch it out to the third movie. But Sony's like, we need to put all this in here now. And don't forget to get shots of that Vio because we got to sell that shit later on.
That's what it comes down to. A lot of these things is they cram things or they half-ass them or whatever else. I mean, with Spider-Man, I mean, I like Spider-Man as a character, right?
Yeah.
I was never the hugest comic book fan of him, so I've only read so much. But I would have loved the perfect match of these 2 sort of trilogies, or whatever you want to call them now, of Spider-Man. If you'd had the original sort of Spider-Man's sort of jokiness about him, but with the original sort of web slingers as he kind of grows through that, and then as he gets the real web slingers and that sort of changes, then maybe he moves on to going out with Mary Jane, and then if he gets the Venom suit, then the Venom suit goes off, and I forget what the character is that gets the Venom suit, and then they could possibly have a spin-off. They could have a spin-off movie with him then fighting the Hobgoblin, because that happens in the whole Venom arc. I've read a lot more Venom than I have Spider-Man. So, yeah, I would have. I like elements of both. I just feel that they could have pulled all this stuff out that they crammed in, the extras, if you like, extra bad guys and so on, and focused on just having the Green Goblin for the first sort of arc, and then maybe have the Hobgoblin for Venom, and then maybe one other bad guy somewhere in between. You don't need like 6 bad guys in 2 movies.
You know what really would have just, like, I'm going to tell you my perfect Spider-Man trilogy. And I know people are going to get mad at me, or maybe not. They might applaud what I'm thinking. My perfect Spider-Man trilogy would be, like, instead of always focusing on Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, all that junk. Origin stories. I want to see Spider-Man, like, focus on the symbiote suit. So the first movie would be Spider-Man. He's been Spider-Man for like 5 years. He's gotten to the swing of things. He's still, Spider-Man has that Spider-Man look. So he's always perpetually broke. Like one paycheck away from losing his apartment. Like that's fine, okay. But he's also, he's trying to maintain a relationship with Mary Jane because Gwen Stacy's dead. She's gone. We don't have to go over that, okay. But something happens and he gets the symbiote suit. That's the first movie, okay. And
well, he actually gets the suit. first, and then the
Yeah,
suit.
he gets the suit. He gets the suit first.
Because he has a black suit in the normal continuity before it becomes Venom.
Yeah, yeah, but then later on they turned it into the black symbiote suit. Like
Yeah.
initially it wasn't like this malevolent thing that feeds off of emotions. Like initially it was just a really awesome black suit that he made during the Secret Wars. He got
Yeah,
during the Secret War, but I'm not going to get into that. But basically, like that's the first
complete
movie.
tech
He's
geek
got
in
the suit.
himself. Yeah.
He's got the suit, and like let's say we'll go with Spider-Man's original primary villain, which was actually the Kingpin. He's got together these group of villains that Spider-Man put away, and now they're coming back. They're coming after him, and like he fought them once before, and they kicked his behind because there's like 6 of them, maybe 7, whatever. And he like the suit like increases his powers. So like the second time he beats him, he not only does he defeat him, he damn near kills him. And Spider-Man, like people like see him, like they're like, "What? Spider-Man doesn't kill people." Like he's not acting like himself. And like the first movie ends on like a cliffhanger, like Spider-Man's about to kill this guy.
Yeah,
The
he's just
second
OP.
movie,
Yeah.
the second movie, he looks at himself, he's like, "Man, I almost killed that guy. This suit is doing something to me." He figures out a way to get the suit off.
Mm-hmm.
But it managed to escape, goes to some asshole, Eddie Brock. We all know how that Venom thing works out. Okay? End of that movie, Brock gets the Venom suit, but he can't hold on to it. And, he gets the suit, and it creates an offspring. Third movie opens up with that offspring getting onto a crazy psychotic SOB, Cletus Cassidy. I want to see Carnage. I want to see Carnage.
I want to see Carnage.
I want to see Carnage. I want to see Venom get his ass kicked by Carnage so badly that the symbiote leaves him and goes back to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man has to wear that suit to take on Carnage. That's what I want to see. That would be a fight worth watching. That would be awesome. Because we know every time a symbiote moves from one host to another, it increases its power. The power transfer is upped. So from Spider-Man to Venom, Venom is more powerful than like normal Spider-Man. When it had the offspring, Carnage is way more powerful than Venom. But if it goes back to Spider-Man, it would be even more powerful than it was when it did the transfer to start with. So maybe he might be strong enough to do something.
The only issue I have with that is that Spider-Man is more of a geek and a person who can make these sort of suits and things, rather than somebody who has huge amounts of willpower. Compared to, Brock was able to control Venom so much more than Peter was. I don't know.
But only after like. I mean, that took years.
Oh yeah. I completely agree. I don't know how I would work that out. I'd probably pull in at that point if you were going to give him back the suit. I'd probably pull in one of the other two. If we're avoiding anti-Venom, I would have either Ben Reilly or Kane as Scarlet Spider team up, and the two of them take on Carnage. I'd love that.
That would be a cool movie, but the thing is, they'd have to know who the Scarlet Spider is. I mean, I know who he is. I know he's the weird, freaky clone.
Yeah, I mean, they could build it in. I mean, if they have at the end of the first movie, as you were sort of saying, he gets the black suit and things, you can then have a hint to do with the whole sort of goblin thing making Kane, and how that all went wrong, and just as I say, as a sort of maybe sideline or something, and then when you have your Venom arc going on, of the symbiote suit getting sort of drawn away, Peter maybe twist the story slightly and say that Peter gives some of his DNA to Kane in order to preserve the spider DNA, because it has to carry on even if he dies. And then when he comes back into the third movie, it's like, well, as a sort of payback, the two team up and take out Carnage.
That sounds good, but now you're twisting in that whole Morlock thing. You're twisting in that whole Morlock thing, and then it gets kind of. I mean, with Spider-Man, it has to all go around Spider-Man. It's kind of like this. It's like most Spider-Man fans, because I'm one of them. It's like, yeah, it's like other people are cool. Like I like Ben Riley, he's okay, but if you ask me who Spider-Man is, it's Peter Parker.
Oh yeah, I get that, but I
I know
get that.
everyone's like, well, Miles Morales is awesome. He's cool. I'm sticking with Peter Parker.
And technically, so is Dr. Octavius. But
yeah, I know, because he stole his body. I know. The superior Spider-Man. Don't worry, Peter Parker will get his body back. They'll write him back in.
And
he's gonna be. Look,
and if you talk
I don't
about
want to be Dr. Audio Octavius when Spider-Man gets his body back, because
and Kane and Ben are technically clones of Peter.
I know they're all. I mean, that whole clone saga just literally that tells you how evil Green Goblin is. This dude made clones just to f with Peter Parker. Can you believe how evil that is?
Oh yeah.
That is a douche move, dude.
I mean, as I say, we could go into all the.
We could go on and on and on. So, anyone have anything else to add? Anything you're plugging? Any upcoming big, huge things you want to talk about before we?
So, I mean, as I said to you sort of earlier on, I'm having a few sort of computer issues, but I will try and get my second Bayonetta video out in the next sort of week or so. I've done the first video just sort of giving impressions of, first impressions of the series because I'd never played it before. I'm going to do an impressions video hopefully in the next week if I get time to play and things. Just sort of my impressions on the first game once I finished it. And then I've also due just sort of pick up video to do with things that I got for my birthday and just sort of showing some other sort of comics and things I picked up. So yeah, watch out for my YouTube channel. As I say, it's Highland Gamer. If anybody hasn't subscribed already or fancies checking it out, I'll be posting it on my Google Plus place under Gordon Curry or on the Highland Gamer page as well.
Okay then, this is me, Mr. Red Fox. Stay tuned. Next week I will be coming up with I will be doing a Star Wars, getting deep into Star Wars, both the prequel and forget that, the original series and then that stinking prequels. So we'll be getting down to the nitty gritty. We'll be talking about the true meaning of Star Wars, and it's going to be awesome. And we'll also close it out with what would be the ultimate Star Wars video game for us. If you want to be part of this podcast, send me a. You can just click on the link and put in the message boards, the message section. Let me know, and I'll see what I can do. I would like to have a decent amount because, I mean, it's friggin' Star Wars. Everyone has an opinion about Star Wars. And all of them are valid, except we all know Jar Jar sucks. So, with that being said, I bid you guys happy holidays and good night.